Everybody, and welcome back to the Brigazoid's Den. Today we are talking Season 2, Episode 19 of The Owl House, which is O Titan, Where Art Thou? Not one of my favorites, personally. I think last week's episode did a much better job of kind of getting this anticipation building for the Day of Unity to finally show up. This one, not so much. This was mainly just kind of focused on our main trio, Luz, Eda, and King, and kind of showing how they are just mainly just having one last episode with them. Kind of like one last episode with just a normal, trying to have a normal day is basically this episode is trying to be, basically. Kind of. I don't know. I think I explained that terribly, but you kind of get the point. I'm still sick from yesterday, so whatever, if you saw the stream or not. But anyways, basically, yeah, it just kind of like a one final day that we can have normal, and it ends up not being normal. But I don't know, it's interesting. But there's some interesting stuff that comes out of this episode. Nothing too crazy for the mass plot of it, but I guess we'll just kind of get into the breakdown now. Let's, of course, start with the opening of this episode. And matter of fact, the opening of this episode is actually pretty important. Some of this is probably one of the more interesting stuff from this episode. So we start off with King waking up on a ship in the world that was the main setting of yesterday's lie. I think it was called like the Mirror Dimension, Mirror World or something. The world, I don't know what it was. But it's where Luz actually went to go meet with her mother in like the reflections and stuff like that. So King wakes up there on like a ship. And then he sees the Collector, of course the Collector character, saying that he is going to finally be free. So is the Day of Unity going to be about freeing the Collector as well? Another question that needs to be answered, of course. So then Luz wakes King up from the dream, and they are back in Bonesboro. And then it's clear that King and the Collector have a connection from the ceremony that Bill had done in the Edge of the World episode. So that's very interesting, and we're going to talk about that after we do the breakdown of the episode. So for our main plot of the episode, there are actually a few plots of this episode, but I'll just kind of put them all into one. I'll be saying like meanwhile and stuff like that to separate them all. Anyways, we start off with Luz seeing a message from Amity, most likely about the events of what happened in last week's episode with Amity and Willow, and also the people of Hexside fighting Adrian Gray and his Emperor Coven guards. But anyways, we get a recap of what happened in the Edge of the World episode, King being a Titan, etc. Luz, King, and Hootie take the long way home because of all the wanted posters that are in Bonesboro now because of Luz going into the Emperor's mind, so now he's on high alert looking for these people. While invisible, Luz, King, and Hootie see Emperor Coven guards taking King's doll Francois and other Owl House items away on a cart. And then they're kind of like suspicious, like what's going on. They end up coming back to the Owl House, which is completely empty. The Emperor's Coven guards have taken everything from that house, so that's a shame. And then we see Lilith and Eda are actually hiding out at the knee. Lilith and Eda are thinking of ways to stop the Day of Unity, and Luz, King, and Hootie meet with Lilith and Eda, who are worried about them being on the Boiling Isles during the Day of Unity, because they don't have a plan yet. They're very, very worried. Luz proceeds to explain everything to Eda of what happened in the events of Edge of the Worlds, and then Eda refuses to tell Luz how they're going to stop the Day of Unity, because she does not want to tell Luz that she has no plan. She just wants, everybody to feel safe, generally. Eda is worried about her kid's safety a lot. Like, that's mainly the main driving force of this episode. But Eda wants to do one last thing till her quote-unquote plan for the Day of Unity is ready for tomorrow. And Luz says that she wants to go on a heist. Meanwhile, Lilith is fanning over King being a Titan. Eda and Luz sneak through Bonesboro, actually back in this other plot line. There's going to be a lot of jumping back and forth. Back in the other plot line, Eda and Luz sneak through Bonesboro. So then Luz and Eda dress up as Coven guards to break into the precinct and get their stuff back. Meanwhile, King meets with Steve, the old Emperor's Coven guard who decided to quit, and they talk about who they really are, and basically accepting that. King has to accept that he is a Titan, and Steve accepts that he's Steve, mainly. Steve is a pretty cool guy. And we got to see him without his mask on. That was wild. That's like the coolest part of the episode. So King and Steve ride a motorcycle together. King in the sidecar, Steve driving. And they just kind of ride around into the sunset, man. Just kind of chilling. And meanwhile, at the knee, there's apparently a big problem that Hootie finds, which is off screen. We end up learning about it. It's nothing crazy. Back at the precinct, everything is kind of going Luz and Eda's way, and now they need to find their stuff. Eda spies on an Emperor Coven leader, or captain, talking with Rain over the globe. No, not globe. What's it called? Over like the little thing. You know what I mean, right? I think you know what I mean. Which is like the little glass like dome thing. For some reason I'm blanking on it. But anyways, so Eda spies on an Emperor captain talking with Rain over one of those things. And then meanwhile, Lilith and Hootie are chasing after Stephen King. Stephen King, is that why they did that? Steve and King? Like Stephen King? Wow. That has to have been intentional, right? That was kind of cool. Anyways, in a montage. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, Lilith and Hootie are chasing after Stephen King in a montage. Stephen King. Wasn't there a Gravity Falls reference to Stephen King, too, in the Wax episode? Yeah, I'm getting sidetracked. Anyways, when the Emperor Coven Guard captain leaves, Eda goes to call Rain and ask for help. Eda wants Rain to get her kids out of the boiling aisles safely, because she doesn't want them to be there during the Day of Unity. Luz finds out about Eda sending her away, and Luz starts kind of yelling, and the Emperor Coven Guards hear her. Then we have a very unexpected thing that happens. Luz and Eda kind of have a fight. Like, they have, like, the animation for a fight, which is wild. Eda is attacked by Emperor Coven Guards, and Eda and Luz get captured. Meanwhile, Lilith and Hootie reach Stephen King, safe, regularly. King tells Lilith to stop and treat him like she used to, because he doesn't want to be treated like a Titan. He wants to be treated like a regular guy, like he used to be. And then Eda tells... back at the prison, now they're in prison, Eda tells Luz the truth. Luz wakes up where the resistance is at. So let me go back and do that, because again, this is getting kind of confusing, jumping back and forth. I probably should have separated these. But anyways, back at the precinct, the prison precinct, whatever, conformatorium, Lilith and Eda, Luz and Eda, God, there we go, are stuck in a jail cell. Luz is crying, really sad, because Eda's sending her away. Eda explains that they don't have a plan, and then eventually they're starting to be sent away by carriage, and then they end up waking up where the resistance is safely at, which seems to be near Latissa, I think it was, because of it looked like the place where Luz and Hunter landed in Season 2, Episode 6, I think it was the Hunting Palisman or something like that, which is where they all landed after the airship exploded. That's kind of like what it looks like. But anyways, they reach the where the resistance is at, and then Luz meets with Rain, Darius, Everwolf, etc. People of the resistance, of course. And then we see that Eda brought Luz Palistrom wood, and then Eda is going to show Luz how to carve the palisman. So that's where we end, basically. So this was obviously a much more calm episode, just kind of giving Luz and Eda one last day to kind of do something regular, but it doesn't really turn out to be a regular day. It just turns out to be a more, now they're joining the resistance kind of day. So, overall, again, this was probably a slower episode. I think it was supposed to be like a calming episode, just kind of like, oh, this is our middle ground before the big stuff comes in, which is probably going to be starting up next week, considering now we have joined the resistance. So we're probably going to be trying to enact some plan to take down the Coven before the Day of Unity. It's not going to work, then the Day of Unity starts up. That's kind of like where my head's at here. But overall, it was like I don't know. I think I'm kind of stuck on this one if I really liked it, because it went by really quick, I felt like, but I just don't know if I really liked it, or if, maybe I didn't, it was just kind of like a waste of time. No, not a waste of time, because it was just kind of like a little side story, I guess, but I don't know, I'm still kind of stuck in, this middle ground of, do I really, really like it, or is it just kind of there? You know what I mean? Anyways, so yeah, there is this episode, of course, and it is somewhat interesting. There is some stuff to talk about that I do want to take a look at here, with some of the things that happen in the episode. So, starting off, Luz has palistrum wood. She's going to carve a palisman. So that's kind of big. And that obviously was from I don't remember what episode it was, but it was from a previous episode, I think in season 2, where Eda and King stole palistrum wood to give Luz so she could carve a palisman. Now it seems like Luz is going to be carving one and is going to be ready when the Day of Unity comes, and she's going to be using actual magic with her own palisman instead of just using Eda's. So, I wonder what Luz is going to carve, what kind of animal or creature she's going to carve. I remember doing a lot, like a theory video, I think, talking about this. Maybe not just this, but I think it was like a full theory video. And I think I mentioned, I had a section in there talking about Luz with a palisman and what that palisman would be. I don't know exactly. I think a lot of people say bat would probably be the one that she's going to choose, like a bat. Because, her, what is it, like, I think her phone case is a bat or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what it could be. On top of that, Amity's palisman is a cat. So, bat, cat, you know what I mean? I don't know. But we're obviously probably going to see Luz's palisman carved out in next week's episode, so that'll be kind of cool to see. But for now, yeah, I have no clue what animal she's actually going to choose. On top of that, Eda was also given a palistrum wood seed to grow a palistrum tree from her dad, Dale, who used to be like a palisman carver or something like that. Will that ever come back into play? I'm going to say right now, I don't think so. But maybe there's still a chance. Maybe she's going to try and grow that seed to give all the resistance people palismans. But, well, I guess that wouldn't be too much out of the realm of possibilities, because I don't think Darius has a palisman. Nor does Rain. Nor does Eberwolf or any of the other Cats members, which are the Covens Against the Throne, which are like the resistance name. It used to be Bats, now it's Cats. But anyways, and speaking of that name, the Cat's name, Luz then says everything comes full circle and throws her hood up with the cat ears. So I guess everything really does come full circle. Anyways, there is that palistrum wood seed. I don't know if that'll ever come into play. We'll obviously have to see later on in the episodes, but I did just want to kind of mention that before I continue on here with talking about some other big stuff. So I want to talk about this from the opening. This is kind of a big thing that happened. King seems to be connected to the Collector in some way, which is, I would say, good and bad. Bad because I'm a little worried about King his mind being attacked by the Collector or something like that. When he kind of made this connection, because it seems like during Bill's ceremony in the Edge of the World episode, King and the Collector made a connection. Then every time it seems King has a dream, it involves the Collector in some way. So poor King can't really sleep without, seeing the Collector. That's terrible. But clearly the Collector is a big player in this show, considering he kept saying, I'm going to be freed, or something along those lines. So is the Day of Unity going to free him? That's kind of like the next point that I brought up. I don't know why I'm moving to it right now, but is the Day of Unity going to be freeing the Collector as well as, getting rid of everybody's sigil? Maybe, or getting rid of everybody's power with the sigil. So I wonder, now, my mind is obviously racing and running with different ideas. I wonder if the sigil is going to be able to take a witch's power, then be able to, distribute it out into the world, into Bonesborough, let's just say, for example, into a setting, I guess. And then all that power comes together to open some sort of portal to let the Collector out? Is that where we're going with this? You know what I mean? So I don't know exactly, obviously, what's going to happen, of course, because I haven't seen any of the other episodes, but that is a little theory that I kind of came up with, just trying to think about what the Collector's saying, that he's going to be free, the Day of Unity's coming up, the magic's going to be drained, the sigil's going to, take the magic, so I don't know where we're going to be going with this, but I'm very, very curious. And again, King is connected to the Collector in some way. Every time he falls asleep or dreams, he ends up being with the Collector, it seems like. And I'm, again, worried. I never actually finished my thought previously in the previous part of this. King, I'm worried about King because I'm worried King's mind could be attacked by the Collector. Maybe the Collector could take over King's body, something like that. But it's also a good thing because King might be able to spy on the Collector in his own mind to see what the Collector is actually doing with Bellows, so they can hopefully get their plan completely, 100% foolproof for, next week's episodes, I would say. Next week's couple episodes. Because they did talk about the cats, the Covens Against the Throne, having a full-blown plan to take down the Day of Unity. So, that's big. So that was it for this week's episode of Owl House. Of course, that is O Titan, Where Art Thou? Now, there is Amphibia tonight, I think, is the final finale episode. I'll have to see if I either do that tonight or tomorrow morning. I'll have to see, depending on if I stay up to watch it, really. That's mainly it. Although, I think it comes out at 8, so I don't think that's bad at all. So, either way, that is it for this week's Owl House. Overall, I would say it was good, but, it was definitely like a more calm episode compared to the last week's. For example, that built anticipation. This one was just kind of like, Eda, Luz, and King, they're our main trio. You know what I mean? Kind of like that kind of feel to it. So, overall, it was fine, though. It was alright. It was fine. I enjoyed watching it. So, if you enjoyed that video, do the common YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.